Hello and welcome to Public Conscience on Radio, the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOG. PRIMOG is a civil society organization with a mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I'm Okiri Agbonsuremi and I'm here with Adaobi Obiabumo.
Thanks for joining us on the program. On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations and drawing citizens and government's attention for democratic actions against it. We are supported by the MacArthur Foundation.
And any day, any time, the report of the Auditor General of the Federation is a good mirror to view the financial character and behavior of public servants and the public service, and by implication, of the country. The recent federal audit reports are replete with abuse, irregularities, impunity, and outright stealing. And as it appears, there is not enough being done to punish offenders.
And in 2017, the audit report alone, we have 436 MDAs who stood above the law and declined to submit their audited accounts as required by law. Some other agencies kept a total of 20.68 billion naira to themselves without remitting to the Federation accounts.
The infractions cut across board, including contract splitting, payment for services not rendered, over-invoicing, irregularities in contract awards, and in an instance, loading the accounts of a cleaner with 32 million naira as reported by our media partner, the Cable, and that was also a report of the Auditor General that affects the Nigerian Law School.
Year in, year out, the recommendations of sanctions by the Auditor General of the Federation go without the reports of anyone going to jail, and it is not clear if the stolen funds are ever recovered and remitted.
The recommendations for sanctions by the Auditor General are hanging in the books, as the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly makes some efforts to get some compliance.
We have an economist, a businessman, and a politician, Mr. Tope Fasua, in the studio. Yes, the same Mr. Tope Fasua, the presidential candidate in the last elections of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP. Welcome to the program, sir.
It's good to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Welcome.
And we have on phone Halim Olatunji, a correspondent with the Cable newspapers, that reported the 32 million naira money paid into a cleaner's account at the Nigeria Law School. We'll be getting him on phone in a short while, but we'll kick on with some of our discussions before we call him on the phone.
Remember that you can follow us on our social media platforms at Official PRIMOG. PRIMOG is spelled PRIMORG. And we are streaming live on Facebook at Official PRIMOG. You can watch our videos on PRIMOG TV, that is our YouTube channel.
And please subscribe to get reminders where we have a new post on our particularly our YouTube channel, Official PRIMOG, that is PRIMOG TV. The WhatsApp number to call we have just given you, that is 090 22656167, is just for messages only. 090 22656167. You can begin to get in the messages now, and you can be part of this program. And if you have any information you want to also give to PRIMOG or any of the anti-corruption agencies, this is also one of the numbers you can call, in addition to sending us a message through info@primog.org.
Now let's come back to our guest in the studio. Welcome once more.
Welcome, thank you.
Let's begin by asking you to give us an overview of the financial compliance levels in the MDAs.
It's pathetic, actually. It's beyond sad. Also exposes the hypocrisy of most of the things we do in our country today. We have a government that is here purporting to be anti-corruption, but not lifting a finger. It's totally unfortunate. From what I've seen, for example, there are 69 government agencies that have never submitted any financial report, never since inception. There are 323 that refused to submit in 2018, and then it keeps getting worse. That's another thing to note, that year in, year out, this keeps getting worse. And then there's no law that actually compels any of these agencies or ministries to even answer an audit query from the Auditor General. And then you begin to wonder why we have all these EFCC and ICPC, because ab initio, between the Auditor General and the Nigerian police, they're supposed to sort everything out. So what we ended up doing is creating parastatals which themselves are hardly compliant. Even EFCC was indicted by the Auditor General. And like Mr. Austin said, in the introduction to this program, all of those reports are hanging in different. Look, we're joking here in this country. We're joking, this is a time of global recession. All these things still continue. Misspendings, fraud. Look at what the case of NDDC, and the kind of things you hear. That the many managements that have come, all of them are thieves. All of them are absolute, robbers, and of course they're just having a laugh. So governance in this country is a laugh. Of course, you know that the only way to secure your future financially now is to get into government. So the whole idea is it's the government against the people, not the government working for the people. It's the government against the people, those who might find themselves in government one way or the other, whether as workers, as appointees, as political, people who win elections and so on. They just keep signing the country away, and they just resume every day to share the money. And the accusers are also equally corrupt themselves. So where do you start? The people of Nigeria they are totally exposed to the element. That's now,
what is the framework for the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation? Let us look at where the Auditor General even gets the report. The Accountant General compiles all the reports and forwards to the Auditor General. What was the intendment of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation?
That is one of the legacy. Almost every country in the world has an Office of the Auditor General. When the British people were living, and we like to blame the British, they didn't do this, why did they amalgamate? We also should give them some credit for putting in place some institutions. And we say a lot of things about a country needs institutions. We don't need strong men, we need strong. How do you build strong institutions when in our very before, like we will say on the streets, in our very before, the institutions that should guide the country and protect the people get destroyed and nobody does anything? And then you create new institutions. You know that between the time of Oronsai report, when we had about 520 we had 900 plus, we're almost 1,000 parastatals. They keep creating more, and they create more. And some of the ones they've created, some of them don't bother to do accounts. You say, some of them, the very ridiculous issues going on. NNPCA, EFCC, NHIS, MBET, MPA, BPE, NECO, SEC, Presidency. Why? This money I was still reading in Rivers State, they bought 41 Range Rovers for the judges. And I'm sure each Range Rover will cost at least 70 million. And I remember when Lord Lugard wrote in his book, The Mandate, or what's it called, 1922, and he said the average Nigerian that he met are people who don't know how to think about the future, they think about now, that they love power, but not the responsibility that comes with power.
Pleasure.
And I'd say that he's very right. Between me and you, and look, when I look at all of these things, I say, well, look, if I didn't contest for presidency and I contested for House of Reps, I'll be in one of those committees and I'll collect some of those monies that they're sharing.
And the cards.
We need to of course, we collect the cards. So we need, and that's the reason I knew I wasn't going to win the presidency. I went for that presidency. I'm not ready to soil my hands. So we need to actually check ourselves as a people. At what point are we going to call a halt to all of this brigandage?
Let us look at the agencies. The top one that have never submitted. They didn't even deem me fit. Let's take a look at your records and see what is running on your mind in some of these.
No, well, the point is they did not mention the 69 agencies that have never submitted since their inception. But you'd wonder what kind of agency those agencies are. 69 agencies set up and being paid, and then the government will go and say people are not paying taxes. They're being paid by the taxes and the resources of this country. Even if they were merely digging into the ground and just collecting resources like crude oil or gold or whatever it is, You are being paid with the resource. I don't know what gets into people when they get into government or this parastatal, that they believe or don't remember that they are there to make the lives of the people of Nigeria better. So when you set up an agency and they don't submit or even bother to prepare accounts at all, that tells you that organization was set up as a slush fund just for the whims and caprices of those who set them up. And many times some of these organizations are set up as temporary, but before you know it, everybody digs in, they become permanent.
Well, in a report titled Harvest of Violations, snippets from the 2017 Federal Audit Report, the Center for Social Justice broke some of them down. And if I go to page 3 of the report, irregularities in payments and expenditure, and some names were made here, 26.6 billion. We are talking about the 2017 audit report across various MDAs. And some of the MDAs are Corporate Affairs Commission, 2.19 billion, National Health Insurance Scheme, 8.3 billion, Federal University of Petroleum Resources, talking about Federal University of Petroleum, a university, Federal Capital Territory Administration, the Federal University of Lokoja, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Plateau Universal Basic Education, University of, all these funds, all these government institutions and agencies. And if you think that is mind-boggling enough, then we take you into the details of the report. You will understand how Nigeria is bleeding from these agencies, ranging from even the BP itself, 7.5 billion in revenue generation and remittances. They collect monies from as a result of their operation, their revenue generation, they don't remit some of these monies, and the audit report squarely put them. And that takes me to the next question, Mr. Tope Fasua. Now, the office of the Auditor General appear to just be backing.
They're backing.
Who does the biting?
Unfortunately. Well, you know what? I believe they are under the somehow they report to the president direct. If the president, of course, they also send their reports to the National Assembly. But the president should have overview over some of the things they do. If all of these agencies are not doing the right thing, it's a national issue as far as I'm concerned. It goes beyond the national, because again, the National Assembly is the agencies they indicted. The NASS is here. And let me quickly say some of the things that they have indicted people for: non-submission of accounts, number 1; contract splitting and contract fraud;
yes.
Illegal allowances, NHIS shared illegal allowances, 6.4 billion, among other organizations that just wake up in the morning and award themselves, just like the 1.5 billion COVID allowance that was paid in NDDC, where the MD got 10 million, the director 7 million. That's this COVID. Inside this, then you have things like spending without authorization, deduction of monies due for federal government. They just take some of that money and remit a tiny fraction. Non-report, improper records, unsubstantiated claims, no law sanctions that and all. And then even payee and VAT that they deduct from contractors, many of them don't.
They don't remit.
So
Let's
it's a big issue here actually.
Okay, we the Cable picked up and reported on the audit report on how at the law school in Abuja, 32 million
That's a small amount of money.
was paid serially into the account of a cleaner.
I think the reason we pick this out is just to also say that even when it is big at billions, there are those ones that also come at the very, very low level in institutions, and they use staff to take this money. We have Halim Olatuji on the line. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Tell us, you picked up this report at the level of Cable. It was already reported by the Punch, but you picked it up. Tell me your own interest. What was your attraction in this report?
In Nigeria currently, it's known is that there's a lot of corruption going on in several ministries, departments and agencies. And talking about the Nigerian Law School is a kind of different institution in my own view, because I think it's the apex legal academic institution in Nigeria. It's the home. In fact, you go to the Nigerian Law School's website, they describe as the home for training lawyers. And these lawyers are those who make up the judiciary. And the judiciary is what is the hope of the masses. So when this same law school is being indicted of misappropriating funds, they know that there's a serious problem in the country. So when I saw the report, which was done on the Punch and a couple of other newspapers, I feel we need to escalate this issue. We need to speak more about it. We need to call the attention of or perhaps someone in government to do something or take up steps to investigate this particular report based on the 22 reports by the Auditor General's office. Basically, that was what motivated me to file the same story for cable.
Of course, when we file reports like this, it has become just the like nominal. You just file it and nobody reacts to it. Do you have any update on it? Do you think have you been able to find out if the Auditor General's recommendation has been meant for that money to be recovered?
There has been no update so far because in Nigeria, we have several reports. Apart from the Auditor General's reports, we have several other reports that keep coming out on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, yearly basis. But the level of implementing what's it called, punishing these offenders or taking up these issues has been very, very low. So far so good. This report is just like several other reports from the General's office where there has been no follow-up or the anti-corruption agencies have not been following this issue as much as it is expected of them to do. So far, no update has been gotten so far, but we are making efforts to make sure the story doesn't die down, to make sure we keep it afloat and we keep it at the front page of those that have to do something about it.
That's also why we are also amplifying it. But just before you go, I also want to ask if, because in the report that you filed, we discovered that the current leadership of the law school, and it's a question that will also be put into Tope Fasua subsequently, the current leadership of the law school says, no, it didn't happen in our time. Of course, they will just wait and the thing will just die. Now, if you talk to them, because they were not there, nothing really happens. Maybe the cleaner has even run away. It's now in Republic of Benin. We don't even know what has happened. Has the law school, what did you even find from the law school at all?
Okay, during the audit session at the Senate or the Public Accounts Committee of the Senate, the Director General of the Nigerian Law School, that's Professor Issa Ayato, so he said, he was not the Director General at the time when the incident happened, and finally revealed that it was Professor Olanwaju Onadeko, who was his predecessor. But right now, we haven't still heard from the law school on what the development, because the Senate actually directed the DG, that's Professor Issa Ayato, to make sure the money was is recovered, rather. The money is recovered and returned to the school's account. But right now, no update so far on whether action has been taken, whether the cleaner has been apprehended, or whether the money has been even recovered at all.
Thank you so much, Olatunji Halim of the Cable newspapers. Thank you for the report, for what you did. Very beautiful job, and the way we are trying to see that such funds or such events don't happen in any other place. Thank you so much for joining us on the phone.
You're welcome, sir.
Mr. Tope?
Yes, please.
The audit report we looked at now is that of 2017. This is 2020.
Right.
I don't think that of 2019 or 2018 they are ready.
I think that one of them is ready. From my research, at least there was some records around 2018 that I saw. For example, it was reported that 323 parastatals had refused to submit their accounts as at 2018.
Okay, what we're trying to look at is that it takes almost a lifetime for the audit report to be ready.
Well, I think
delayed for 2 years,
exactly.
3 years.
Well, no, I think the Auditor General's office, at least under Mr. Yine, I think is left there now, tried to catch up. And in fact, look, these are reports that should actually bring down government, really.
Yeah.
In normal places.
Yeah. In normal places.
Yes, in normal country. We're not normal here. That's the truth. So these are reports that should bring down government. And the man must be brave to have issued out this kind of report, even in indicting the presidency. There was an instance where 14 billion was spent by the presidency on an army barracks without any approval. They just went and built an army barrack somewhere. And the audit report actually picked it up. I think that's for 2018 or 2019, under the same government. So it's ridiculous. You're talking about 32 million. Now they say they're looking for cleaner. The cleaner will probably not get more than 200,000 out of that money.
In that report, I don't even think the cleaner's name was mentioned.
Oh, you see, that's the thing. So the cleaner will not get who were the people who indict her. The people who put that money through the NASS account would have got their promotion. Some of them will be palm sex today. Some of them will be political appointees. This country rewards fraud, even under President Buhari here. Many of the people who get appointment, who get promoted, are people who are really fraudulent, and because they buy those things, and they run it like a cult. So long as you deliver, this guy delivers very well, then you keep going up and up and up. So that's the thing. That under the previous FRS management, there was an issue which came out as well. I still remember, where a mere supervisor, who the new entrant, had almost $1 billion in their account. That case, nobody is talking about it now. There was also a coordinating director who was indicted at that time. Now Fowler is somewhere there, God knows where, enjoying his life. We've papered over that as if money means nothing. And you see, the world is watching, and the world knows the value of money, and the world knows that we don't know the value of money. God forbid, I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Talking about the value of money, Accountant General prepares the financial statements and hands it over to the Auditor General. From there, the Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly takes it up. Don't you think they have some sort of job to do?
Well, the point is whether it should go through all of that rigmarole. For an Accountant General to have picked up, Accountant General picks up this report, sends it to Auditor General. Auditor General does their work. Okay, now first of all, the Auditor General will only work on the ones they see. Right, then it now goes to Public Account Committee at the House of Rep. Maybe it will also go to the Senate. God knows where. I'm saying that this is an indictment on the whole of what we understand as government. It involves the judiciary, the legislature, the presidency, the executive themselves. So it's a pan-government issue, and I think that if we were serious, for example, now I don't believe all of these agencies that we have created are just going around. We had the chairman of the EFCC himself, who was locked down in jail for 10 days. Now, when the chairman of the anti-corruption agency himself was indicted, whether the V victimized or not, the anti-corruption war is over.
I was actually going to come there. At the point, and I like the way you put it, that it is what the Auditor General is given that he even sees. We don't know what he's not given.
Exactly. Look,
we don't even know what.
When you establish agencies, 69 agencies, and they have never, since days, and they resume every day. They have never given account. They are budgeted for. They will still get another budget in 2021.
Now let's look at the role. Let us begin from. We'll even come to the president himself. But let's begin from the anti-corruption agency set up by the executive. If, as we are talking now, we are talking about reports. The reports are all over the place. In these days of the social media, the internet, the reports are available. Do you think the anti-corruption agencies, ICPC, EFCC, the police, all of them, the code of conduct, all of them that are supposed to, do they need the prompting? For me, Agbonsuremi, to take the report to them and tell them this is what has happened? Can't they work on their own and begin to look at this? Once the Auditor General has reported it, like we said, if the Auditor General simply backs, it cannot bite.
You've asked a very good question. The only problem is, look, when you are fundamentally compromised, there's little you can do. EFCC's name is here, indicted. I'm sure if you search very well, ICPC is equally indicted. Equally inside the Code of Conduct Bureau, there'll be something or the other with their accounts. If we check well this report by CSJ, we will see details there of the infractions of each of them. On what moral grounds? So if the EFCC, having been indicted by the Auditor General here, goes to NNPC to start harassing them, goes to MBET to start, or MPA to start harassing them, they will bring out the whatever and say, okay, but even you, they will call one of them aside and say, okay, what are we talking about? We know it's we now. This is also a report that indicts you. So the work is finished at that level. So I think we need something bigger than the rigmarole of whether it goes to EFCC or otherwise. The president himself, posturing as an anti-corruption person, should be the one calling the EFCC and say, my friend, what is this I'm seeing about you? How do we clear this? Let's say that's the reason they invited Magu. And then getting that same institution, that is how to build strong institution. So, like I always tell people, you need strong leaders to build strong institutions.
Yes.
Weak leaders cannot build strong institutions. The president has an opportunity now, well, at least he's slipping away, to build strong institution out of EFCC, ICPC, and all of this. In fact, to build a strong institution out of their Auditor General. Because look, I've not seen some detailed report like this from the Auditor General, from even the EFCC or the ICPC. The EFCC, part of the problem Magu has is that We said it from beginning.
It's not open.
It's not open. If you are going to collect asset from people or collect seized asset or seize money, account for it. Have a register. When they used to ask him then, when he just came, and when this government just came, now look, how much have we recovered? We say we're looking for money. How much have we? Why can we not use that money to fund the budget? He said, well, we're going to come out with a report. We're going to come out with a report. Before we knew it, the account has scattered. All right. So he himself. What you are saying? I will recommend they scrap the EFCC and ICPC, and just let's empower this Auditor
General's office, yes,
and let's take it serious the way it should be. These other EFCC, ICPC, they are a misnomer. They are jokers. As far as I'm concerned, they're just chop for the boys. I mean, you take someone from the Nigerian police, Assistant Commissioner of Police, he becomes a kingpin in EFCC. Use him to harass people you don't like. Or they begin to chase small boys who are stealing 250,000.
I was actually going to come,
which is the work of the police, but steal from the police.
Yeah, I was also actually going to come to the solution because the picture is dirty. The situation is dirty. The presidency should be worried, and like you actually said, this kind of reports that we churn out every year from the Auditor General's report can actually fall a government. The people should also be involved. Now, let us look for solutions. How do we solve it? And you have mentioned one that even that the office of the Auditor General should be empowered, should be strengthened.
Absolutely.
Maybe enforcement powers. They should give.
Yes, which is one of the things that they said that no law sanctions or compels answering the audit queries. So listen, you can send a query to any MDA. Nothing compels them to answer.
Wow.
They can file it away. That same cleaner will just, before you know it, you probably see it outside. They're using it to sell guguru for people. Because no law empowers them. Why are we not working on that law? All right. Why is the the National Assembly not working on that law? Why is the president not interested? We are rather interested. We will soon create other. I mean, there's going to be maybe an election court. Yeah, this one.
Yes,
so we like to create all of this institution. Then EFCC building there cost 24 billion. When they were asking Magu the other day on channels, so what are you guys doing to reposition and to ensure you go after this? Say, yeah, we just completed our building 24 billion. The movement was stormed. As in, what does that have to do with what? How do you deliver on your mandate?
With buildings.
24 billion. So we are very much interested in all of those, contracts.
I'm actually conscious of the fact that on this program, just as we're also going to open the phone now for those who are listening to call, we want to look for solutions. One of them you have recommended is that the office of the Auditor General should be strengthened, and that it should not just be mere report, and that it should be compulsory for recommendations to be carried out.
Absolutely.
Now,
number one, that look, there should be something compelling institutions to must answer the audit query. If you are given an audit query, you should answer from the office of the Auditor General of this federation. You should be compelled to answer by every means. I'm also saying part of the recommendation, this is beyond the National Assembly. The president should worry about his legacy. He has only maybe a year left, or even less, before politicking takes center stage, and then at the end of the day becomes a lame duck president. And we're looking at who's going to come in after, if this country remains one. All right, so the man should be very much concerned about the legacy he's going to leave, and the fact that he rode in on the pretext of being an anti-corruption president, which certainly he's not delivering on. So it should be his remit, it should be his cup of tea to worry about all of these shenanigans that's going on under his government. All right, many of which have become public spectacle. For example, the NDDC, the man fainting in that place. The same man who fainted the meeting before and walked out on that committee and said, Mr. Chairman, one guy from Ondo State, whatever, Tuji Ojo or whatever, Bumi Ojo, and said, okay, you have a 6.4 billion that you are demanding from us. And that man actually stepped down, meaning that the Professor Ponde or whatever his name had a point. And when you say, oh, guys, don't worry, off your mic. No one, Mr. Honorable Minister, it's okay. And people say, when the Akpabio deliberately did what he did, to say that after all, I want to tell you, because who is the biggest beneficiary is you people now. And Nigerians were waiting for Akpabio to actually bring out a name. They say he can't bring out a name. Must he bring out a name? my people, Yoruba people, they say Aborolan suffer Moluabi to bad demi adodidi. Invariably showed that Nigerians are not Omoluabis, because we cannot be spoken half a word that will germinate inside us and say, man, this guy is saying something. Oh. So both the accuser, the House of Reps, all of them are indicted. All of them have been collecting contracts and feeding fat. Both the Akpabio himself is involved. The Professor Ponde is involved. Joy Nunez is involved. The other people that were there before are involved. The Niger Delta as a whole is involved. So it's a matter of legacy. If the president doesn't care, I don't know who's going to, because actually in 2015 we actually entrusted in the president when he was coming. 2015 we said, no, this man is an anti-corruption man. He should be able to clean up some of these things in this country. I don't know who is going to come with that posture anymore. Most of the people I see on the scene are businessmen.
Now,
and so chances are that by 2023 we're going to go even further down the slope if the country remains one.
All right. Robbie, we have to invite in our guests on phone at home to join in this discussion. Many civil servants are out there, many public servants, many people out there who never knew about this, how the Auditor General's office is operating and churning out these infractions, stealing, embezzlement, and they issue audit reports that my guest here, Tope Fasua, has said is as good as just a press statement. If you like, you act on it. If you like, you don't act on it. And this is where we are.
The audit report indicts so many officers, yet no one is seen to be punished. Impunity reigns and hundreds of MDAs don't make returns year in, year out. Many don't remit the funds they generate. What are your views?
Of course, we have so many people.
Hello?
Hello, thank you for joining us. Your name and where you are calling from, please.
My name is Olatunji. I'm calling right now from Wuse 2.
Thank you so much, Olatunji. Please take 60 seconds so that we can provide opportunity for everyone who wants to call in.
Okay, thank you. I've been listening, and the person in the studio has really done a great work in analyzing this country. But my own point of view is, as far as I'm concerned, everybody in government that is above 60 years old is a problem of this country. Simply because they enjoyed what the white man left behind. After they crossed the bridge, they destroyed the bridge, and they are still destroying it till now. That is my... Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hello. Your name, where are you calling from?
My name is Sam. I'm calling from Dubai.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I just want to make a very brief contribution, and is that going the same line with the last caller, which is giving the younger people a chance, because these older ones, most of them are coming into this government for business purposes, not for governance. So they should please leave the governance for the younger generation. They don't have money. I think they'll have the interest of the country at heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Muyiwa from New Caro, he said he's tired of listening to all the stuffs happening in Nigeria. It's affecting his heart. This country is something else. Nothing seems to be working.
You can get on the phone with us. Hello.
My name is Raymond. I'm calling you from Itama.
Yeah, Raymond, go ahead.
Hello, Tope. Well done. Fantastic stuff. You always, hit the nail on the head. I think there was. I'm not sure if it was you, but there's a CSO and a bunch of CSOs that are pushing for reforms for the Auditor General's office. I think there's a group of guys like that are really pushing for to reform the act or something like that for the Attorney General's office. I think that is a worthy cause, and I think that is really what needs to be done. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if that bill will be passed this time around, because I think it was also presented at the 8th Assembly before they left, and I think GEG at the time also didn't assent to it. But if that bill gets passed, maybe there might be some light at the end of the tunnel. Because I really believe that office, even with the current government and the administration and the way that they're not focusing on what needs to be done, he was also able to still bring out all this indicting information. You can imagine if he had hours to do more and expose more, and I'm sure things would get better. You guys.
Thank you so much. Empowering the Auditor General's office. That's what also my guest here has also said. Hello. Strengthening it up. I hope Tope will not be setting up another agency Because before you know, they will say, okay, the Auditor General cannot do it. We have to set up an enforcement agency with a DG, with all the paraphernalia of office, and that one will have brothers, and the president will appoint him. And once somebody will say it's nepotism, he's brought in from one part of the country, and they will be bogged down by the system. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for joining us on a public conscience.
My name is Sam again from Dubai. See, what I see from this is, I think one of the basic factor that is disturbing this system very seriously is the fact that all these appointees, the Auditor General, the Accountant General, the rest, are being appointed by the executive, and there's no way everything will just go against the people that appointed them. So why not give these people their independence? Or better still, they should be under the judiciary.
I was actually going to ask my guest here, what is the limit of the powers of the Public Accounts Committee in the two chambers? What's the limit? What can they really do? Are they also powerless like the office of the Auditor General?
Well, they're not quite powerless. You know that they can issue warrants, get people arrested, refer cases to enforcement agencies. They can actually create a bit of problem.
So do we really need to, when we already have that institution of because the Public Accounts Committee is the only committee that is ceded to the opposition in the National Assembly. You cannot have an APC in government and an APC legislator becoming chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, and it's deliberate. So that currently we have at the level of the Senate, we have Senator Rogide, who is almost a veteran in the National Assembly, a member of the PDP, is the chairman. The essence was to create a situation where the government in power is not actually auditing themselves and enforcing it. So why can't the Public Accounts Committee work?
Well, again, mind you, that this is politics, and there are compromises that will be reached. Okay, that's why I say that this is a national issue and needs to be escalated. The president should not be sleeping, waiting for the Public Accounts Committee to do this very work for him. All right, it won't wash, because again, mind you also that the same NASS is one of the indicted, including the presidency. All of them are indicted right here. Courts are indicted right here, and all of that. So you have a big problem on your hand. But let me quickly also answer that it's not. I don't think it's a matter of age. Someone said he's all those 60 years old. Well, but we've seen instances where 40-something-year-olds get to government and they are criminals. Then of course somebody also mentioned something about parties. And I must say that unfortunately, the new scenario we have on hand now is that if you are not APC, you are PDP. The rest are jokers. And of course, recently they moved against some of us into the small parties, and Nigerians hailed them. Well, some of what we were trying to say was, let's crowd this space, so that maybe one or two ideas will escape from some of the younger entities. But now, before you are able to, if you want to chase away the 60 years old, let me see the 40-something-year-old that will become a presidential candidate in APC or PDP. When there's a long queue of 70-something years old, who have the billions, they've been in the place forever, for 30-40 years. They've been in government. They have acquired the arsenal. You say you're just coming from university, you want to
come to be president,
you want to be, or you want to even be a House of Assembly member. Well, except you're a Yahoo boy, and you have made billions of naira, and you can say, they tell you there's one baba there giving 20 million, there's another stakeholder there giving 15 million. If you can give all of those, then you get them. We have a few of them in the House of Assembly who are famous for that reason, but they have nothing to contribute. It's just like, okay, I made money, I settled my way. It's going to get worse. So of course it's down to empowering the audience. So I like the one about the Public Account Committee and the idea of putting an opposition there. Yes. Mind you that the opposition man can only huff and puff for a while. Somebody will remind him of their own time in PDP when they were on the other side and all of that. They say, oh God, just take it easy. But this is beyond the pale. If you're establishing institutions and they're not, number one, even since the Oronsai report, 522 agencies have become almost 1,000 agencies. And then you establish agencies that are not bothering to do accounts, and more of them are not even submitting. Like 148 agencies refused to submit in 2014, but that number rose to 323 in 2018. 76 agencies last submitted their accounts in 2010.
Wow.
All right, so did they go to sleep? No, they are still buying the jeeps for their organs and enjoying and having the time of their lives since 2010. But they don't care. See, who's the loser at the end of the day? The Nigerian people. All right, so every money you see here is money that should have been used, very diligently if we were other countries, that would have created more jobs for the Nigerian youth. Today we have millions of them losing their jobs as a result of this COVID. These monies, if they had been well spent, would be investments in this country and would have, lessened the pains that our people are going through today. If only we were good thinkers. If only we bothered to think about, the collective, and if we had a systemic approach to running government in this country. All right, so that's what it is. So I think that the president himself should be very worried. And again, it just exposes the fact that, look, this Auditor General, and someone did say something, and which I think I should respond to that. Look, as much as Auditor Generals are appointed, most of the time the Auditor General of this federation have been appointed from within the office of the Auditor General. Maybe the most senior director.
Yeah, not necessarily political.
They don't have to, it's not very political because it's audit. You have to be an accountant. If you don't know it, you can't. I'll wait for the day they will make someone that studied philosophy, the Auditor General of Nigeria. It will probably not happen. It hasn't happened, as corrupt as we are.
Where are you calling from?
From Tuleja, please.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, please. So you see, my own is that even though there's no law you can enact in this part of the world that will probably curb corruption, because we institutionalize it, it's not in our culture. It's not like the third religion we have in this country. But for me, I've said it and I will continue saying this. The only way out of this quagmire we find ourselves, out of this canker come corruption, is just a bitter revolution.
Well, unfortunately, we cannot allow you to continue to expatiate on the revolution we are talking about. I have also said, please listen very well, that the revolution that Nigeria needs is the revolution that is led by the president and commander-in-chief. It's the revolution that a president will come in and say, things must stop. That was the revolution that people expected in 2015. And that's what Mr. Tope Fasua talked about, that when the president was coming in with his track record, we thought there was going to be a revolution. So, but when you are talking about violent revolution, Primong, and I believe many reasonable Nigerians, including Tope Fasua, will not buy the idea of a violent revolution. We want a peaceful, structured revolution that will change things.
An intellectual revolution, a revolution in thinking. Look, let me tell you, they say revolutions actually do create new oppressors. And it has happened too many times in history that the people who say, revolutionary, you kill everybody, then you constitute yourself into the problem again.
All right,
we need something more intellectual and, something that concerns everybody.
All right. Hello.
My name is Tajudin, calling from Mapo.
Thank you.
I want to thank your guest in the studio, Mr. Tope Fasua. And I want to ask a question, Oga. What really happened with an Orasai report? Why can't the government implement this thing? To the letter, all this unnecessary duplication of MDA, let them scrap most of these agencies. They are not just performing any function. These are the areas where our resources are being, wasted away. And we should just scrap most of them that are of no use. And let's return those that are very, very useful. Apart from that, most of the government, the money we are spending in running the government is getting too much. And we don't have the resources any longer. The oil is fast becoming, banjo in the market. So why can't we just, if possible, adopt parliamentary system of government and deal with these presidential system? I have so many things to really talk about, but the time is not there. Please, I want you to really see what you can do to salvage this country. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is talking about the revolution we are talking about, the change. Where people say restructuring means differently to different people. But everybody in Nigeria know what we need. We know that this system is not working. A system where the Auditor General reports that there are infractions. Hundreds of MDAs don't even remit the money they get. And we have the National Assembly that has the committees that will probably come to they go halfway. The Auditor General issues reports. Nobody is obliged to obey the Auditor General. The police will not go in. The EFCC will not go in, the ICPC will not go in. They're probably waiting for us to tell them what to do. Now, this is where we are, and like my guest said, Mr. President ought to also be disturbed, having sleepless nights over some of these things so that we can work. Let us hear the last from you, sir.
Right, fine. That gentleman asked about Oronsai report. My thinking about Oronsai report, because I worked in a committee at the BPSR where we looked at that, was okay, fine. Let us implement this report, even though it has a bit of errors in it. So we did some reviews of some of those errors. There are some, there are some agencies that we believe could still continue to function. For example, there's the Environmental Agency, Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria. That was the wole we used to have. We used to go into
the home.
If you go around this Abuja, go to Jiko, you go to Maraba, there, you will see the conditions in which Nigerians are living. God is the one saving us from this COVID and all of that. People could have died by their millions as predicted by Bill Gates and his cohorts. You know, if not because of God, the prosperity, whatever it is. You know, so we have some of those agencies that should be salvaged, even though
I mean, why they are not even functioning.
However, the point is that, like I said, almost 400 agencies plus have been created since Oronsai report of 2011. So now again, the issue then becomes: should we sack how many millions of Nigerians or how many hundreds of thousands of Nigerians, and what do they do? So see, I believe that what we could do is to say there are some areas that we should put our people. Environmental sector, for example, you know, could employ a lot of people. That whoever is being laid off from the civil service should be taken to the teaching. You know, listen, when I ran for president, I went to especially in the north of this country. If you go to most schools, if you see 2 teachers, you are lucky.
Even in FCT,
public schools,
even in
FCT, there were sometimes I created one NGO where we take books from middle class people. We say, please don't burn your children's books. The textbooks that even their notebooks. There are people in need of them. There are tens of millions of children in this country who have never held a novel or a textbook in their lives in this same country. And we're creating very little havens for ourselves, thinking we have arrived. You don't know that those children will come after you. A report came out 3 weeks ago that says Nigeria is going to be the second most populated country in the world by 2100 at 750 million. What is the Nigerian government doing about it? Do we have a population policy? No, they are busy doing politics because I'd rather do politics, and generally anybody that wants to have 30 children can have 30 children anywhere in this country. All right, and we don't care. In fact, I thought that figure was bloated when I did my research, and I did an article in Premium Times and Daily Trust and all other places, and the Cable as well, on this same issue. I realized that indeed, if Nigeria was growing from 200 million at the rate of 3% per annum, we would actually be 2.4 billion people by the year 2100. The white man will never allow you to put 2.4 billion in Nigeria. They will do everything to ensure that your figure is curbed.
And that's why Bill Gates and co are working.
They are working, including if they have to create wars and whatever, so that you will kill yourselves. But are we thinking? So they said that a man that doesn't know where he's going, somebody else will come and take you to where he wants you to go. That's the case of Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't know where he's going. If we knew where we were going, we would not have these audit reports that we're getting. Audit report of mindless spending in a season where every country is deeply thinking about their future and the future of their children. These are leaders at every spectrum of our society who don't care what happens to the children. You think you can send your children abroad? We can see the results already. Are they not bringing their children back from abroad now? In a scenario where everybody is saying, look, everybody go back to their country. You don't know that this has come to stay.
All right.
So that is the point.
We just have to wrap up now, but we have a message
from Andrew Abali in Wuse, and he says corruption thrives because of its inherent benefits to the beneficiaries and the consequent social acceptance given to it. He ended by saying absolute power corrupts.
Absolutely.
And that's where we're wrapping it up. Please visit the news page of our website, news.primorg.org. And we also encourage you to visit our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about Primorg.
And we also emphasize again that the spelling of Primorg is P-R-I-M-R-G. P-R-I-M-O-R-G. We want to appreciate Mr. Tope Fasua, an economist, businessman, and a politician. And we want to thank you for joining us on the program, sir.
Thank you. I don't even like being called a politician.
An economist.
I'm just trying to be a nation builder.
All right. We also appreciate Halim Olatunji of Cable, who joined us on phone from Lagos.
Public Conscience on Radio is supported by John T. and Catherine D. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation at its website, macfound.org.
I want to encourage you to join us again next week for another episode of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram handles at Official Primong.
Many thanks for joining us. I am Adaobi Obiabomo.
And I'm Okiri Agbonsuremi. Remember that the COVID-19 is still out there. Please stay safe and stay out of corruption.